Hello and welcome, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about how you can find and build your app that is $1 million in less than 30 minutes. That's right, you making $1 million with your app idea. You think it's impossible? That's what we're going to be challenging today. And we have Mr. Hackathon that will be jumping on in a second. If you want to see all the guides, what we're talking about, past videos, make sure you get the free guide down below. And let's just get right into it. The timer has started. We're going to bring Mr. Hackathon on, and we're going to be talking about what we're building, what platform we're using, and everything like that. So first of all, Mr. Hackathon, how are we doing?
Hey everybody, hey Doc again. It's great to be back.
Well, thank you for taking the time. Let's get into what platform are we using and what are we planning to build?
Yeah, so we're going to use Base 44. As we get more complicated, we are going to be integrating some other platforms, hopefully Eden AI, hopefully Make. I will explain them a little bit more throughout the stream. But me and Doc have composed some ideas. So these have came from social media, these have came from previous streams, and we thought about ideas that can really add value to you, but also demonstrate some of these tools and what they can do. And as you can see here, we have over 30 ideas, but we've highlighted 3 ideas, and hopefully we can get through all 3, but it's likely that we will get through 2. So the first one is a proposal generator. If you are an agency out there, chances are you are getting a lot of inbound inquiries and you want to generate proposals from those inquiries really quickly. That's based on your particular business, that's based on your offerings, but also based on the client requirements. And AI can help you accelerate that process. Lead gen builder. So what we had in mind here is something to help you generate leads for your business. I didn't actually share a whole lot with Doc, but I have the perfect thing in mind for this. And then storyboarding for video content. If you are creating video content like me and Doc, thinking about the whole structure of everything can be a very tedious process. But again, AI can accelerate that and help you with that process, whether you're talking about for TikTok or LinkedIn or longer form for YouTube. So we are going to get started, Doc, and we're actually going to start with something I built in Create. So Create, if I actually sign out, or maybe I can open another tab here. Create is a text-to-app builder. It's one of the emerging ones. There was just a stream about Lovable. I know Doc's covered Bolt.new. There's lots of V0 by Vercel. Create's another one that is actually really, really cool, doing lots of really interesting things. I think it offers a lot more flexibility than Lovable and Bolt. And I've only highlighted Create. We might not use it today, but I've only highlighted it because I've actually built something very simple but powerful, and we are going to build something similar for this proposal generator. And for me, this was a LLM use case generator. And you type in the company, or you type in the company description, you type in the role of the person, and it will generate use cases. So if we just run over to LinkedIn and just find someone's company randomly, so AirTalk. So hopefully we can actually cover AirTalk at some point, Doc, because it's a great web scraper, like a new gen web scraper. But if we go to the AirTalk company, and they should have in their about section their overview. So I'll just grab that. I'll throw it in my here. And then here, generate use cases. C is generating ideas. Again, I made this in maybe 30 minutes, and it's generating AI use cases. So me, as someone who has an AI and automation agency, if I want to quickly reach out and say, hey, like, here are some ideas on how to use AI and automation for your particular role, for your particular business, this is generating the ideas. I could also just put this on my website as a lead gen, gate it with an email sign up to collect emails, and then they have access to this free tool to generate LLM use cases. We're going to make something very similar to this, but we're going to use it for a proposal generator. And when we're talking about proposal generators, it's more an internal tool rather than an external tool. This could be an external tool, but we're going to use our proposal generator as an internal tool for your team to expedite the process. I want to help you think about how I think about these projects, especially these very, very simple ones. I think about it as input. So here we're taking input, the company name and the role, and the output we want is the use cases. In the scope of proposal generator, we might be taking the input. So the input might be the client's requirements. We're going to add some additional information before giving it to the AI in terms of our services that we offer. And the output would be a proposal. To do this, we are going to use Base 44. Similar to Create, Base 44 is one of those amazing text-to-app generators. I've fallen in love with it recently. It makes it really, really easy to manage your projects. You will see shortly why once I sign in. If I show you something I've begun to make with Base 44, so this is a project that I started maybe a couple of days ago, and it's basically I'm basically building my own Teachable. The trouble I've had with Teachable, there's so much there, and it makes it so complicated. I find it easy just to produce a YouTube video and upload a YouTube video. And what I started to do is, if we take a preview, just be able to easily organize that into courses. And now when someone clicks start learning, it's actually pulling very specific YouTube videos that I have told it to pull. So I can now create my YouTube videos as I usually create my YouTube videos, put them on YouTube as an unlisted video, and then use it here as a course. And it's not that intimidating for me. Teachable and Udemy and some of those course platforms were very intimidating for me. But in creating my own platform to do this, I can customize it however I want to customize it. So if we jump back home, we are going to start with Base 44. Now, what a lot of people might do to start, sometimes they have like prompt libraries that they might use to kind of kick off the project. Sometimes they might upload an image. You see, you can upload an image here, and actually Base 44 does pretty well with images. But what we're actually going to do, we're just going to prompt it raw, pretend we don't know anything. So when I do that, I actually give it like one sentence like of context. So I say, hey, proposal generate, let's just call it proposal AI, a web application for generating client proposals for my marketing agency. And then I might say something like, I would say something along the lines of create an input field, and I might actually say create a multi-line input field and generate. Now this is super simple, a super simple way to start. As you can see here, there's other stuff here. There is your company, your role. If I think about what I made today, script. So I made another tool today that's slightly different. So this is a little bit more cuter, but you can see the generate buttons here. It's structured a little bit differently. So what we want to do, you can see here, client name, and it's given us this: describe the project requirements, target audience, goals, and any specific needs. So this is like first version. All we've done is given it one prompt, and that's it. Very, very simple for these kind of applications. If we jump back, there's a lot of these that are very simple. If we want to create an automated training plan or opponent analysis or game summary generator, a lot of these are just inputs and outputs. Are there any questions so far, Doc?
So this is great. We get a lot of support of people are saying thank you for another build. This is great. I would first have you break this down. You're saying it's very simple, but say for instance someone might
Yeah.
still be intimidated. Well, it's you, it's you, Mr. Hackathon. You've built like 10,000. What's the first thing that's coming to your mind? Are you using your own GPT to think about this, to help you with the logical development of what you should do first?
Um,
Tell us about
I,
that.
like you mentioned, I built a lot, so I kind of have an idea of like how to with certain things like this. I just see it as inputs and outputs. So I know, hey, I need an input field, and hey, I need some kind of output. Like I need somewhere to display the output. I do have a tool. I have multiple tools to be able. Let's see, programmatic. And again, this is what I've created natively. Increase. So building products is a muscle, and you have to really work on building products. It's one of the reasons I ship a lot. It's one of the reasons I build stuff a lot. And then when you find a system you like, or you find an area like, you can begin to automate it. And that's what I've done here. So you can see here, for my programmatic product development platform that I use internally, all I have to do is put a trend in a technology and it will generate ideas for me. So I didn't do that here just because it's already going on in my head. So I can, if I want to generate 10 or 20, it's pretty easy for me. If I want to generate 1,000, that's when it starts to get a little bit more difficult. But what it actually does here is generate the requirements too. Again, because I'm shipping a lot, I'm doing this stuff a lot. I'm seeing the requirements a lot. I'm seeing, hey, what needs to be there, what doesn't need to be there. This isn't the most beautiful, but everything that's there needs to be there, or everything that's there is relatively important. And I could just copy this and throw that into Create or throw that into Base 44. But it's my experience of building lots of stuff to know, okay, I just need that input box to be able to make this app. On the last stream where we talk about scope creep, I think that can happen a lot. My focus is generally shipping quickly so I can get in the customer's hands quickly and get feedback so I can iterate. So I actually want the minimum amount of things there. For something like this, I don't need them to log in. I don't need users to save proposals. I don't need anything like out there. I just need somewhere to take their input and display the output. That's all I need. And that's kind of the frame of reference I build from. What's the minimum amount of things I need to have the maximum impact? Does that answer the question?
I think it does. Let us know in the chat down below if that makes sense. And these are really good examples right here. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Dominic, your typing sounds like it's 100. It sounds like it's 10,000% when you're typing. It is so loud. It is so funny.
Sorry.
No, it's no problem. Let me real quick. I'm going to mute you real quick, Dominic, but I'm gonna go with a couple of these things, and then I'm gonna bring you right back with this is good. So exactly, I love exactly what Dominic was talking about. And I think testing and making sure you're going out and just seeing what the audience wants. But I'm a big fan of checking who's making money and then deciding on if I can launch a product that is a competitor or a super niche one. For example, if you're looking at Crunchbase, you can look up who's making money, how much money do they have, all of those different things, right? So I can look at what's going on with, okay, Anthropic, what's going on with Harvey. I can look at how much they're making, what's going on, and that will give me an idea, is this something profitable I need to go into? The other thing, and this is like a cheat code, is if, and they've told people about this, appsumo.com is a platform where you can see tons of different micro SaaS or different SaaS companies that are selling lifetime deals. So imagine like a Groupon. But what I would do is I would look at the AppSumo originals to then see how they brought a very similar product in their category, and then they just made a lean version. So example of if someone's using Calendly, a lot of people are using scheduling apps. They did TidyCal, which is a competitor, but it's super, super simple. It's lean version of just a few features, and they charge $39 lifetime. And that's your introduction for their software, right? We can talk about a whole reason why they position it lifetime versus subscription. But the point is, they're looking at what are people paying for? What are the big players in the space? And then how can I go build something in my industry that can do something similar? You can see the same thing if you're looking at ones that are there's CRMs, customer relationship management systems. There might be ones like HubSpot and bigger ones, but look for ones for in the pet industry, right? If your pet sitters have their own CRMs, ones in totally different demographics. So just like Mr. Hackathon is talking about all these things that you could be doing, think about yourself. Where do you want to enter the space? What expertise do you have? All of those things. And then do some research of how much are they making, or at a type of company like that making, and then go from there. There is one more. I see I watch you, Doc, but I think I'll need someone with coding skills to make something usable. Great question. And I love that. But I would say first, describe what you're trying to do, because a lot of these things with these text to app platforms, you might need coding later on, but your very first feature, you might not need coding. And then you might use something like Cursor or others where it's assisting you with your coding as well. So depends on what you're building. Let us know in the chat down below. What are you trying to build? But think about one simple feature. And that's what Mr. Hackathon, that's what Dominic is showing you right now. Super lean, super focused, then add other features from there. Dominic, I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. So I do want to make a comment on that, and I don't want to be harsh. And we spoke about sports, so I have an athletic background. But when we say, hey, X is not, we come from no code. No code's not scalable. Or hey, I'm gonna need a developer later, so I'm not gonna build this idea. Like, to me, that's just all excuses. Just build the thing. Just build the idea. And hey, you never know. Before you might need a developer at 30K a month, but 20K a month is a nice amount to have without a developer. I think we all would love 20K more a month than we currently have. And if a text to app generator is going to get you there, definitely just build it out. Build it as far as you can build it, and then work out down the line how you're going to figure it out when you need a developer. But the next step, so we have our proposal AI here, we have our form, and so here we're going to say, based on the user inputs, use OpenAI to generate a proposal. Now, I might have to give it some OpenAI keys, but we're just going to see how Base 44 handles that. I know Create handles it natively, so I don't necessarily have to give it keys for Create. V0 by Vercel, I have to give it my own keys. Same with Bolt and Lovable, but let's just see how Base 44 handles that. Oh, it says it's already using it. Okay. Well, thank you. So we need a client name. Is it Brand Factory? Is that the name of Brand
Yes, it
Factory?
is.
And you want an application to help users create, I don't know. So let's just see what it does. And hopefully the magic happens. Okay, so I'm not actually sure what happened. So we're going to say display the output. And while it's loading, are there any questions or anything that I need to clarify, Doc?
No, I would like to. You. How do you know what's working, what's not working? Like you just said, right here, you're like, I'm not sure. Are you looking at the error logs? Are you looking at what it's doing? How do you know if it's working or not working when you're using this?
Well, I pressed generate and nothing generated, so I don't think it was working. Um, yeah, sometimes it does. Well, I haven't had that with Base 44, but sometimes with the other platforms, it'll say, "Hey, can't compile the code," and it'll say, "Hey," it usually give you a button that says fix. Um, I look at the error logs when I'm trying to think of something more complicated. So I have a tool here, and it's for generating policy manifestos. And you just drag and drop ideas from different places, hit generate, and it's going to generate a manifesto. And that's integrated with, I can't remember, maybe Claude potentially. And when I do third party integrations like that, when I'm using my own keys or I'm sending it to Make or sending it to somewhere complicated, I do actually look at the request. I look at, okay, what was actually sent, what actually came back, what's the error code. But that's where you get a little bit more technical. I feel with these platforms and where they're going, you don't actually have to do that. And even though this looks different, right? Remember, this is just still input and output. The only difference is this is drag and drop and you can't type anything. But here we have a bunch of inputs and the output is a manifesto. So base 44 should be ready now.
And could you explain what you just did right now? So it wasn't working before. What did you end up doing to try to correct this?
I told it to display the output. Like a lot of the time, people calling it vibe coding, right? I think if you're speaking to a developer and a developer gave you what I initially had and you pressed the button and nothing happened, you're going to go back to the developer and say, hey, look, I pressed the button and nothing happened. And often it's me having that conversation with the AI, like, hey, I pressed this and nothing happened. Sometimes I do have to step in and say, I want you to think about it like this, and this, or I want you to solve the problem in this particular way. Like sometimes I have to direct it, but that's me using my technical knowledge on like, hey, I think this is the actual issue. Sometimes I say, hey, if you can't do this, ask me questions that can help you do this. So I've done that with Bolt and Lovable, where I'm like, I've tried to query it a couple times and it hasn't actually done what I wanted. It needs to ask me for the information because I feel like it hasn't got the information. It doesn't understand, but it's not asking me any questions. So it needs to ask me questions so I can give it the information it wants. But I don't know what questions it wants to ask. So sometimes I've done that too.
Thank you very much.
So,
This is really good because if non-technical people are using this, don't be intimidated that you have to have some magic words. Exactly what Dominic just said. Like, just say like, it's not working. Like, I just did this. So go through the progression and just talk back to it. Use normal language. That's what the beauty of these platforms are. So thank you very much for explaining that.
so you can see here, the only difference between what it was before and what it is now, I said display the output. That was it. And now we got an output.
Awesome. And now you got everything right there. Just that simple thing that you did.
Yeah. And it even gave us a copy button. We can copy this. We can say, hey, add a download button. Um, Typically, I don't like the way this is formatted. But this is it's basically made this a pretty version of what is got back from the AI assistant, and this is what it looks like. So we could probably do some creative stuff with that, but I am conscious of the time. Is there
No.
anything else we want to do with this?
No. And some people, I would just like to bring this up where you're like, oh, well, like, why would you do a generator? Like, why is this produce money? First of all, Dominic, this is wonderful, but you're seeing what he just did. Let's just show this right here. PandaDoc celebrates a milestone of 100 million in annual recurring revenue, right? So if you're looking at, we're talking about pick something like documentation, speeding up people's workflow. And this is, yes, PandaDoc is a bigger company, but think about if you offer to create a custom invoicing app for a small business, for a marketing firm. That is where you can start getting repeatable revenue monthly, creating a internal tool that is specified for their business. So this is why we started with revenue. Now we're going to go on a little bit, but please let us know if you're watching this on replay, do hashtag replay. If you're watching this live, let us know. But go and think about what are you already using? What are you paying for? What are companies that you're working at, enterprise, small business are using, and get to work, just like Dominic's saying. So let's move on. What do we got next on the docket?
So just before we move on, just on your note, so HubSpot, huge company, they have blog ideas generator, and they use it to generate leads. A lot of these companies are offering free tools to generate leads. So if you are a trainer, you can say, "Hey, I am a yoga instructor. I do my own at my yoga studio. I do my sessions. I might do some virtual sessions. But hey, I'm going to create a yoga training plan generator for people that want to do it by themselves, and I'm going to make them give me their email, and send them the plan." Chances are people are not going to do it themselves. They're going to come back to you, come back to the studio, tune in virtually, but now you have their email address to be able to nurture them.
Makes all the
So
difference right there.
only one Canva and a whole bunch of companies use these free tools to generate leads. And now we're going to talk about actually Lead Gen Builder. So
And the
I'm going.
reason we're doing lead generation is we get the number one question that we get here is, "Hey doc, it's great that I know these skills. How do I get customers? How can I go and find people that will pay me?" And so this is why we're going into lead generation to learn how to build your own tools to find them, but really listen to what Dominic's saying step by step as we're building this out. So I'm excited to see this.
Yeah. So what I actually had in mind, I'm not sure. Hopefully, within the first minute of scrolling LinkedIn, I will see this exact post that I'm thinking about. But what people have now, I can't see it. What people have, I've been seeing it all over LinkedIn. People are saying, "Hey, I have compiled a list of 100 of the top VCs. Hey, comment wherever to download this below, or for me to send this to you." And that's how they're actually generating leads. And at first, I thought they were actually spending 50 hours doing that. But I'm like, actually, I don't think they have to spend 50 hours doing that. They can use AI to do this. So I might say we're gonna call it Lead Gen Builder, a web app. I'm gonna say a web app for generating lead magnets. And then what we want is the same thing. Create an input box for the user to generate. I'm trying to just think of the right words. I'm not trying to think too hard. I just want it to be like English, like normal English, not gibberish. So create an input box for the user to generate. All I really want it to do is create an input box. And something I want you to notice here is, again, this use case, I don't have a sign-in, I don't have a database, I don't have authentication, I don't have billing. That moves into the next tier. So while this is loading, here you can see difficulty, basic. Once you get into the user authentication, you get into the billing and lots of complicated stuff there, that's where it's actually moves into the intermediate. Okay. What?
No, keep going. Keep going. I got a follow-up, but you're doing great.
It says, what topics do you... So this is kind of the same thing. We could change the styling, but, I don't even care about that right now. But this time, we could just tell it to generate the list of leads, or it could... I want to actually make sense. So what I want it to generate is, for example, let's think of it if I have an actual example. And I've actually started to do this somewhere. Zapier agents. So I started creating a list of use cases for Zapier agents. And I want it to generate something like this. So here, Zapier agent is relatively new. People are like, hey, what can you use this for? And I started to generate, hey, this is the function, this is the use case, this is the prompt, this is the trigger action. And so we wanted to create something like this. But for now, if we go back, this is all I want. And we're actually going to, because we're stepping up from just the regular generation, we're actually going to send this to Make and try and do this with Make and potentially Eden AI, which is a AI aggregator. So I am going to jump over to Make. Let me know if I'm going too fast, though.
No, this is good. I think this is allowing people to understand. So let's go here. Why are you using Make at this time?
So Make allows me to connect all these third-party services. You'll see it has thousands of different apps. If I wanted to connect it to Google Drive, Gmail, if I wanted to connect it to Telegram, Slack, HubSpot, Trello, I can do all these really amazing things through Make, and it's really easy to do in Make. Technically, I could do that all through Base 44 or Lovable or both, but doing it through Make actually makes it really easy, especially since it's more visually driven. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying I need to send it to Make, so I need an address to send it to, and the way I do that is go custom webhook, and I say I have to create a new webhook. And now this is the address. So I turn around and go to base 44 and I say, when the user clicks generate, send it to this. So let's just see how it handles that. So it's adding a webhook integration itself. We can add really interesting data manipulation. We can add conditional routing. So I think it might actually do it wrong, because what it's got written here might be a little bit wrong. But let's just see. So mate's trying to listen for something, and I say, hey, personal finance. And successfully determined means it's actually received the information. So you can see here that is generating here. This is not what we want, but we are going to resolve that a little bit later. And bear in mind, this is actually good. We just don't want it because we're trying to build something a little bit more complicated with Make and Eden AI. So I am going to do this again just to show you what this looks like in Make. So generate, and it's sent. So now you can see topic, personal finance. That is how Make is receiving it. So what we want to use next is Eden AI. So if I take a look at Eden AI is a AI API aggregator. So if I sign in, have you come across Eden AI, Doc?
No, I was going to say, why are you just now telling me this? Why are you keeping this away from me?
I don't know. I've been using Eden AI for years, actually. So if we go to, they have different models that they have aggregated. So it's not their own models. It's like OpenAI and Amazon and all these different models that you can use. They have document parsing, image generation, detection, face compare, all these really interesting things. For example, if I go to text, I think I want to do.
And what are we going to do here? So we're here on this platform. What are you looking for? What is the action? What are we doing here?
What I want to use with Eden AI, I want to just use that as instead of running it through. So what we're going to do is add Eden AI, and it just makes it easier to use a lot of these endpoints that we have. So it makes it easier to use these AI endpoints. So if I think it's generate text that I want. I'm just double checking. Yeah.
Dominic, when you're doing this, can I answer a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is a good question. So Ari Max is saying, are they applicable by someone who has absolute no coding skills? The answer is yes, but it also depends on your patience and what you're willing to try, right? So it comes back down to a lot of the things that Dominic's showing you in the progression. This is over time, right? This is logical development, but this has nothing to do with coding. He's not coding. He's logically, visually doing it, but also depends on how familiar are you with certain tools? Where are you right now? And again, your goal. What is the functional goal that you're trying to do? There's a example right here in the chat, and we'll kind of just talk about it briefly, and then I'll bring it right back to Dominic. But to show the difference of this is the question is, it was how to build an app. The question is, I'm trying to build a women's health app that will log women's cycle and then can predict their fertility. Okay. So with that,
is that in the chat?
That's in the chat.
Okay. So after that, we'll throw that in base 44, and we'll work with that after this.
So there you go. So I will not spoil anything, but see, that's the thing when you're looking at when you're building these things, what's going on. And Dominic's going to show you step by step, but you've got to have a full functionality to see. So let's go here. Max is talking about, is there a limit on what you can do with it, like per day? Depends on the platform, right? In general, every platform has limitations, But the way to get around that, if it has a limitation per day, and it will, first use ChatGPT or use other platforms to work on your idea, to iterate before you even start using these credits, right? So base 44, the link is down below. It's free. It's 10 messages a day you could do for free. If you're looking at a lot of the things that Dominic's doing, it's probably less than 10. Probably a lot of these apps are less than 10 going back and forth. So you could build out your basic features of an application in one day and then stop and get feedback even before you go there. So I would say, look at what you're trying to do. Think about that one feature that you're trying to build, but every platform has limitations, but constraints actually allows you to be a lot more savvy and allows you to be a lot more lean as you're building these things out. Dominic, back to you.
Okay, I'm just taking a look at what it has created for me. Okay, so what I've done is, this is probably not the best format, and we'll probably have to work around the prompt, or maybe later I spend some time working around the prompt and try and get in a good format. But what I've basically done here is I have generate text, and I'm using EDNAI, but we can use a bunch of other things. And all I've said is generate a list of topic, columns, and rows for a lead gen spreadsheet. And so what we have here is this topic is a variable, and it's getting the variable from the webhook. Remember, we sent personal finance to here, and now I can use that variable, personal finance, anywhere in my automation. So if I wanted to send, I don't know, Gmail, I can send Gmail. Topic, I can use that personal finance because it's a variable. Does that make sense, Doc?
Yeah, that makes sense. What I think is too, and we'll talk about it, I think we need to do a breakdown of like a beginner's, intermediate, and then advanced how to use Make and actually tier it out
Yeah.
because it's if you're the first time user, variables getting overwhelmed by this, I can see where people be like, nope, Dominic, you lost me. I'm done. But that's okay. But first, again, start with a more text to app, something that can get you 80% of the way. And then based on the specifics or the advanced features, you can now level up from there. So I think, Dominic, I think what we should do is, can we shift to this one last app and talking about the app and do it with base 44? I don't want to
Yeah.
rush you though. I don't want to rush you.
Let's see. Let's just see if this works. So this might not be the prettiest output. So basically what I have here, I send it to, and I can't actually see my screen, but I send it to, I send from base 44, and I say base 44, but I'm basically sending it from my app to Make. Then I send it to Eden AI to process. I could send it to Eden AI. I could send it to, through Eden AI, I could use Cohere. I could use Amazon. I can use, the advantage with Eden AI is that they bring all these different AI vendors into one place. So you don't have to deal with 5 different accounts with 5 different vendors. You can just deal with Eden AI. And that's the advantage of Eden AI. And then I send it back to the app. So let's just see if it's going to do this. So I might say digital marketing. Oh. So this is what we was talking about earlier. Is if it says something went wrong, it say, hey, let's resolve this with AI. And we give it a chance to resolve itself. Okay, so we say digital marketing. I'm just going to turn on. Oh, I actually made a mistake. I need that to stop. Stop. So digital marketing. So it's received. It's now going through Eden AI. It sent it back. And this is not the best format, but we're getting a format back. And it's trying to generate other stuff. I would tell it, hey, I don't need that other stuff. Only display the format from mate.com. But you can see how you just have to have a conversation, or what people call vibe coding. Just have the conversation with it and tell it what you want and what you don't want. You don't have to be technical, but it helps a lot to understand the technical concepts, to understand how API requests work, to understand JSON, to understand, hey, like, this is the format that I got. What are the words for how I actually want it? And if I want a spreadsheet, how do I get a spreadsheet back? Or how do I get a CSV file back? Or how do I get it in JSON format? Or how do I get it in particular format? It helps to know the technical language on how to actually have that conversation with the AI assistant. Because right now, AI assistants are almost like at your mercy. They're not going to lead you in the right direction. If you work with a consultant, you work with Doc can lead you in the right direction, and kind of, you can give Doc a minimal amount of information, but with his knowledge and just like being a human being, he can take that and lead you in the right place. AI can't really do that yet. AI kind of just serves you. So if you don't give it much, it's not going to give you much.
I love it. Great
So
points.
yeah. So we've got about 10 more minutes. So what was the application that we wanted to build that was in the chat?
Yep, I'm gonna get it. And also too, we have a whole video like Mr. Hackathon was talking about with building and understanding APIs. We have a whole starter guide. They're free. They're all in the link down below. But let's look at the request of what kind of app, and let's talk about it, right? So we're trying to build a women's health app that will log women's cycles and then predict their fertility.
So I'm actually breaking this into two sections. This is the first section. For me, immediately when I hear that, and again, this comes back to experience, prediction, I would break into like a separate thing. So login cycles is one thing. Using that data to predict whatever is another piece. So for now, I'm just going to give it the login cycles, and then I'm going to give it the predict piece. I haven't given it in sometimes, especially in my more complicated build, I might tell it exactly, hey, I want a sidebar, I want this, I want that. In this case, we don't need to do that. We don't need to always do that. In this case, we're not doing that. We're just giving it this one sentence and letting it assume a lot. If you want to assume a lot less, then you'll be very, very specific on what you want. We're doing this just to prove, like, hey, you don't have to know everything. Like, a part of this is a part of the creative process. A part of this is a part of this, like, the regular building process. So you see, hey, it's making a dashboard page. And I actually think in this case, it's going to create a database. I think it'll probably create user profiles. We didn't use any of that in the previous ones. It's creating a page to log your cycle.
Dominic, could you talk just briefly, like we were saying, breaking it up? So this first section is going to be more logging, making sure the user will be able to just log. You're just looking for that one action. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah. And that, again, that's just coming back to my experience. And immediately when I hear that, I would, if I was coding it myself, I would actually break it into two pieces when I'm scoping out the work, or when I'm breaking the milestones, and when I'm thinking about the work. I think, okay, login is one piece. What do I need to be able to log cycles? Then what do I need to be able to predict whatever I need to predict from that data?
Okay.
You
And
can
what are we looking at right here?
have to have all the answers. Arts ChatGPT, Arts Claude, Arts Gemini. How should I break this project up?
Exactly. That's exactly right. So you don't have to be on an island. You don't have to say, well, that's easy for you, Dominic. Like you already have this experience. Just ask. Like that's the power of having all of these tools right here. This is excellent. So, okay, we're having a
This,
login. We're seeing this.
this, this is what it's given me. Like this is what it's given me itself. And all I'm gonna say is saving. You can see here recent logs. Okay, so now we want to build upon this. And I might turn around and say, hey, I see a couple immediate errors. And one immediate error is I don't know what's going on here, but I can't see the dates on the calendar view. So I'll say, I can't see the dates on the calendar view. And then I'll say, I can either break this up or I can keep this in. Sometimes if it's a lot of small tasks, I might keep it in. If I know another task is relatively big, I'll break it up. I would say I want to be able to see the entry details when I click on the I'm going to throw in a couple things just because I know they should be there. I want to be able to delete and edit. So those are little things that it shouldn't really have trouble handling, especially if it's not dealing with any third-party integrations. Sometimes it does get messy when it's third-party integrations. When it's not third-party integrations, it's usually okay.
Well, you're on early. Quite, first of all, quite.
Actually, I have made something similar to this now that I think about it.
But wait, Dominic, before you go that route, let's think about for ones that are thinking about this. I want you to appreciate that less than 5 minutes, what Dominic just got to, right? So in less than 5 minutes, the progression of being able to have the first step in your application. Now, I see in the comments like, yeah, there's a lot of other user data that will require for the women's data. Okay. But then you can go back either with your own experience, because you're a doctor, what are the textbook? What are the algorithms? What are those different factors to now power the AI model to be able to predict that? You might say, okay, now that we know all of these predictive things, what should the application ask or what should the woman be able to fill out to do these things, right? But the action of building these applications and having these logical models to do them, they're at your fingertips, and you're taking the time to take step by step going through this. But let us know in the comment section if this makes sense as you're going through this. I just wanted to pause for a moment just to highlight how much progression you just did in less than 7 minutes of work.
Yeah, I can't stress enough, and I can't see exactly what the chat's saying, but I can't stress enough. Don't overthink it. And then there was something I was watching today about how we have a lot of ego in our profession and what we do, saying, "Hey, it needs more than." No, it doesn't actually need more. It actually needs less than you think it needs. Um, Especially where AI comes into play. When AI comes into play, it is incredibly smart. So actually here, it encountered an error before I even said fix. It's working on the fixes for it. And while it's so I made, and this was just a test off the back of something I saw on social media, and it's similar. You can log. Um, so it was about recovering from Ozempic, which is like huge in the US, especially right now. Um, you can log. You say, "Hey, I got this symptom, and it's really bad," and couple times, go ahead and log it. You can edit the log, delete the log. It actually draws up a graph for you. turn around, hit generate insights, and it's going to generate insights for you based on everything in the log. So to me, is kind of what you said. You see here. So and this is a variable that can be changed. So whatever the output format is not a big deal. Like you can change that to whatever you want it. So here you can see I've just told it. What did I say to it? I said, hey, I can't see the dates in the calendar view. It fixed that. Now we can click on this and we can edit and delete it. And we can see the details. So this is what I wanted. And bear in mind, there are still errors. So I can see 2 close buttons here. That's no big deal. I'll just tell it get rid of one of them, and it's probably going to get rid of that one. And now we want to predict. So I'm going to say next to the log button, add a predict button that uses AI to generate insights and predictions based on previous logs. Display the output see vibe coding at its finest, Doc. I'm not using really technical language. I'm not. There's nothing technical really here that I'm doing. I'm just telling it what I want. Now, again, Doc mentioned like I've been building a long time, both with code and with no code, and now with like AI assisted tools. So a lot of the features I already have an idea of like what features should be there. I've studied thousands of apps, so I'm not a beginner looking at this, but I want you to know it's really possible just by explaining what you want it to build.
Yeah, I love it. And guys, just to let you know, we're going to be on this channel. Dominic, this is the third time being on the channel. We're going to keep putting out different master classes talking about different ways to do this. There is going to be a course coming out in the next couple of months, but I want you to really think about it. The principles of looking at what we're seeing is go step by step on what's happening. Make sure that you're just using critical thinking, asking questions, and then go step by step. A lot of times I find, and why I've been hesitant to release a course is I think it sometimes bogs people down and gets people to just be like, oh, I don't know enough. And they just want to keep doing the course instead of just going out and building things. So it's going to be very, very different coming up. I'm not sure if it's going to be more challenge based or you have to do certain things before you get the next lesson. But what Dominic is just showing you, this is what's possible. And this is, again, just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Dominic, unfortunately, we got to wrap this thing up, but we're going to be back soon. Before you let the
So
good people go, anything you want to say?
we just hit generate insights. You can see it's created the insights for us. And this is, I don't know, how long we've been building this? 10 minutes? So
Yeah,
in
yeah. 10
15
minutes.
minutes, we have something basic. And my only thing would be, so whether you talk about a cycle tracker or whether you talk about whatever application we're building, it's becoming easier for people to build applications. So you have to find a niche, you have to find an angle. Maybe for a cycle tracker, there might be particular demographics or women with particular conditions or like focus on the niche demographic. But that's regular business 101, right, Doc?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is how you can be doing this. This is how you're going to be successful. And remember, if you like these kind of videos, make sure that you like and subscribe. Follow Dominic on X. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel. We're going to be coming back with more. If this is what people are liking, and it seems like this is what we're hitting, we're going to continue to be building with Base 44, others. But look at that, less than 10 minutes getting to this point right here for what you need. So everyone, remember, please come back. Oh my goodness, look at that. And a super chat. Was not expecting that. My goodness. Well, thank you so much for doing that. Much appreciated. Where is my super chat? Hold on one second. I was not expecting that. Hold on one second. Super chat. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate the support. This is a great thing that you're doing. I think it's going to be very successful, and we're here to help. So again,
Yeah.
thank you very much for taking the time and spending time with us. And we'll be back very soon on the next stream. Bye, everybody.
Bye.